This is Get Inspired with Dr. Barb. Hi, everyone. This is Barbara Vokatis, host of Get Inspired with Dr. Barb show. We interview fabulous guests who have something to contribute in the area of making education better. And today, no exception, we have a fabulous guest again. Her name is Leah Ellis, and she's founder and executive director of incredible organization. And we will talk about it more, what kind of organization it is, what it does for children, but also for families, and how it potentially can maybe cross to schools, because I think what Leah is going to talk about could and should change also how schools are teaching, really, to be honest with everybody here. And welcome, Leah, on my show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. So I just mentioned really briefly that something, and you all, and I need to say that too, because we talked about it right before I hit the record button. Leah is also a mom of 4. So Leah understands very well how education works, what doesn't work. And she decided do something more, but in a very interesting way and big way too, because Leah, you are a head of an organization. If you could tell our audience first, before you tell us more about the organization, why you even started it, right? Like why? Because the why is pretty important to talk about. What is one thing you think a parent or a teacher or someone else who is concerned about education, right, and cares about it, what do you think they will take from this conversation today about what we should teach children so they can benefit from this teaching?
So that's a lot. One, I think the biggest thing for educators, parents, anybody working with kids, after school programs, whatever it is that you're doing with kids, is to give kids more space to talk and lead on their own instead of waiting for us to tell them what to do. That's the biggest thing. Even I have a talk called Dear Parents and Teachers, Children Are Not the Future, if you want to really be surprised by that. But why I started this organization was because my daughters just had so many amazing ideas that she wanted to pursue, and I didn't see any good reason why she shouldn't. And then she started pursuing these amazing ideas, and I realized there were no other kids for her to talk about it with, and she wanted to be able to talk about it with other kids. So we created an organization, and the joke is that I created a whole nonprofit just so that my daughter could have some peers.
That's a great idea. And we have to say the organization's name is the Society of Child Entrepreneurs. So this name should tell our wonderful listeners or viewers something, right? What are you trying to really achieve there? And yeah, there is something you don't see for your child that she's interested in. So you just started the whole big organization to to provide it for her and also for other children. That's amazing. And how long ago did you
So we founded the Society of Child Entrepreneurs in July of 2023, but my daughter started her first business in May of 2020. So we're about 5, almost 6 years of doing entrepreneurship with child entrepreneurs, but only about a year and a half of having a formal organization. But that's been amazing because now we have our first book just came out. Look at how cute it is.
Yeah, let's show it.
Our first
Wow.
book just came out. It's so cute. We have our curriculum, we have programs, and in early 2026, we're going to launch an online community. So we have so much more that's available now because we were able to formalize it instead of just me teaching my daughter.
That's amazing. If you could tell us a little bit more about like logistics of this, like what does the organization actually do for children? Like, is there any, like, you recruiting kids and families to participate? Like, how does that really work? What happens when somebody is interested in doing this, right? In doing something with the organization? How does it work? How someone starts, and then what happens once they are in? What do they do?
So there's two ways that people can join us right now. Both options are in person at our Kansas chapter. But again, as we go within the next couple of years, we'll have chapters in more locations so people can join in more places. So the first way they can join is just from the community. If they just join as a member of the community, they've probably seen a Facebook ad or they've seen one of our events in person. They join, they pay our membership fee, and then they come to a monthly meeting. Every month we talk about a different business topic. It's half business mastermind, where I teach some type of business concept, and half Socratic circle, where the kids get to sit and have an open discussion about that concept, how it applies to their businesses, and then seeing what they can do in their businesses to take this lesson and move it forward. And then the other part of that program is our children's business fairs, where every quarter the kids actually take whatever product they're selling, whatever service they're providing. They set up at a table, just like at a farmer's market.
Yeah.
It's open to the public. They're talking to strangers, selling their stuff. Sometimes we have 15 kids and 200 shoppers coming in here buying stuff. I've seen kids make $300-400 in a couple of hours selling to strangers, which is an amazing way for them to learn about 18,000 different skills while they're standing there in this unknown environment. And then the second way that people can join our program is our newer option.
Mhm.
Starting January 9th, I'm piloting our full curriculum in our very first school. And so this is students that are enrolled in that school. They select my program as one of their electives. And from January to May, we'll go through the course of what is a business and what does it mean to be an entrepreneur, all the way writing business plans, writing marketing plans, all the way to at the end of May, they will have their own first children's business fair where they will sell whatever it is that they have invented this semester.
So you have just said so many things. It's unbelievable. Well, yeah, because this is not just a nonprofit organization, but you are also actually starting a school. Yeah, sure enough, you have to have curriculum, right, in order
Right.
to start. So it's probably because it's starting, so it's probably a pilot. I don't know. How many children do you think you will have in school?
Our estimate for the pilot right now is 15 to 25
Well,
students.
that's actually a pretty good group.
Yeah, so we have 18 regular members in our community outreach program. And then because we're partnering with a private school that already exists and I'm just
Mhm.
one of their elective options, we'll
Yeah.
be able to have, I'm hoping about 15 to 7, really 15 to 17 would be my goal. We allow up to 25 in the class.
So, do you still teach other subjects than that regular school teaches, or you are only teaching that entrepreneurship part?
I only teach, my curriculum only teaches entrepreneurship, leadership, and financial literacy. However, since we're partnering with the private
Yeah.
school, that school teaches reading, math,
Yeah.
science in a very strict ways of what that feels like.
Uh-huh.
And then I apply their math skills to how do you count back change. I apply their science skills
Yeah.
to, all right, how does your product actually work? I apply their speaking and English skills to how do you talk to customers? How do you explain
Hmm.
what your business does? So I'm just augmenting those core skills with something the kids are all excited about.
That's so awesome. And you see, now I'm going to start even have more questions. How do they, so they attend, they go to two different buildings for what you teach into your building, or it's all happening in one place? How does that work? That's interesting enough too.
So the community group, they go to regular school, they're in all their own schools, and then I'm just like an after school club, like Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts or a soccer team where they meet with me separately from that. For the pilot program that's taking place at this school, I actually have a classroom in their regular school. So I
Yes.
come into their school and throughout the day, they just come into my classroom.
And that's awesome because in that way, these two worlds, one of the regular school, the skills they teaching that and learning there, they work with what you're teaching and they see how it applies. I mean, this is really so cool. I would imagine once that goes well, and I'm sure it does, perhaps more private schools will want to reach out and do some kind of contract with you, right? Partnership. And maybe I'm already creating, the future for you. And then you're going to really consult with probably other schools too who could do this. I mean, every private school, but not only, also regular school, public school can do the same thing. They just partner with someone who comes in, like you, and implements what kids learn there. I think this is just like one of the most creative, amazing ways of doing something with education that is so boring, lost application. And now we have this world that is already showing a lot of AI.
How the
Kids don't know what to do with this. I mean, kids might actually know what to do with this a little bit in better or worse ways, and the schools are banning AI. This is really like a funny thing. Schools are behind, regular schools are behind of what we should teach kids more now than ever before. They were always behind. But now it's even education, mainstream, it's even more behind. But what you're doing, it's not a complicated way of really like reviving the schools. I mean, these kids, they can have all kinds of curiosities, interests. I want to do this business. I would like to see how to, I don't know, I would like to create something, and maybe some kids are very innovative. They can come up with they can invent something and literally can partner with people for whom this invention might work. I mean, their imaginations is incredible. So it's like, and we still cannot do it in schools, right? These imaginations and curiosities from children are just constantly kind of,
yeah, that's yes. Sometimes I feel like we're telling kids no, which I have a really great story about how that can apply in the Society of Child Entrepreneurship. So I had a group of girls. It was a small group, so I only had three girls. They were 6, 9, and 11. And I told them, okay, in order to be an entrepreneur, you have to solve people's problems. An entrepreneur says, this is a problem, this is how I'm solving it, so this is how you give me your money.
yep.
And I want you guys to practice that. So I'm going to be your customer, and my problem is that people keep stealing my packages off of my porch. My packages get delivered, I'm not home, somebody steals it. So I want you guys to create something to solve that problem today. They had an hour and a half to solve this problem. They didn't have to create anything physical, but they needed to have an idea. So they look at me and they're like, well, what if we just put a locker on your porch? And I'm like, yeah, but Amazon, UPS, FedEx guys, they're like, those people have a really fast delivery window. They don't have time to figure out how to use my locker. So it needs to be something that's easy for them so that it's actually usable. And so they said, okay, well, what if it had like robot arms that would just reach out and put the package in its own storage compartment? So it just like the delivery driver leaves it anywhere, they reach out, grab it, put it in its own belly.
Yeah.
Okay, but now, if the porch pirate is just following behind the Amazon guy, he's going to take my expensive robot and my package.
No
So they
good.
said, no, no, but we're going to put two sturdy bolts in the bottom of it so that it'll stay on your porch. It's really sturdy, but if you need to move or rearrange, it's only two bolts, so it doesn't create a lot of damage. I'm like, okay, you know what? This works. I'm happy so far. Um, when I get home from work, and I'm tired and I might not even know that I had a package delivered that day because I wasn't watching my tracking. How do I get my package back? Well, we're going to put facial recognition software on the package box. So when it sees you coming, it will open and hand you your package. And I'm like, okay, this is kind of a fantastic idea because now I have a robot that holds my package, stores my package, gives it back to me. This is so cute. I love it. So I look at them and remember, these girls are 6, 9, and 11. So they're little girls.
Yeah.
And I say to them, I don't know if you guys can create this. I think it's too hard. And the 11-year-old looks me in the eyes, looks at me like I'm the craziest person she has ever met in her entire life. And she says, well, I'm in a robotics club. I'll figure it out. And it was kind of our reminder, like every time I tell this story, get out of the kids' way because they can do it. They're absolutely brilliant. And we just need to give them some opportunity and some space to do it.
I think so. And I think that there are little things like that happening, little sort of like incidents of inquiry learning in regular schools. But the number one issue that I always hear is, we don't have the time for this, right? Because we have to do curriculum. There is like this lack of understanding sometimes. Well, you can still do the curriculum and in a different, better way, and they can even learn more. Sometimes teachers are also afraid of something different too, because it's like, the whole school culture sometimes it doesn't really move in that direction. So it's really hard to do something totally different. And to be honest with you, also, it can be scary, right? To start teaching in a totally different way.
Yeah, because when you go through school a certain way, and then you go to college to learn how to teach the same way that you went through school learning, and then somebody comes in and says, what if we change the game plan? And then you're like, well, wait a second. Was what I was doing wrong? Why do we need to change it? And so I don't think it's that what we're doing is wrong. I think that it's something that we can augment and we can add things to make it better and more fulfilling for the kids and more intriguing for them so that they actually want to be engaged.
Exactly. What do you see as the development of your initiative and also collaboration of the school? What kind of direction do you see? And also for a larger scale too, would you like to make it bigger, and how?
So part of what I'm doing, what I'm piloting is the 3-inch binder curriculum that will be something that eventually we'll be able to just take that curriculum and sell it to schools. And then the teachers that are already in the schools
Yeah,
open it up and teach it just like they teach any other curriculum that they open up the book and teach. But I think for us, the biggest thing is for people to understand I'm not trying to teach the kids how to live their lives. I'm not trying to teach them what their future needs to see. I'm giving them the tools of communication, problem solving, innovation, resilience, reiteration, persistence that they can apply to anything they do. If they're
mm,
kids who aren't college bound, because we know there are children who are not college bound, this gives them an opportunity to still engage in some upward mobility by becoming entrepreneurs, by being business owners.
totally. What would you advise as far as teacher or school administrator, principal, or superintendent, how to start this kind of change in the direction? I mean, anything bigger as far as the change is always kind of scary, but is there any kind of a small way they can try this? And how would you envision this? What would you advise?
Started as an after school program. I don't try and take education minutes that you're so nervous about, those contact minutes, and change it, but just start it as an after school program and create an option for people to join it if they want to. And then when you see the impact that it's having, then see how it can fit into that curriculum so that every child has the opportunity to do it. And when you see that every child is benefiting from it, then start adding it to more and more grades and more opportunities.
Totally, I see. So that's an easier way. And what do you think is the biggest obstacle in schools to move in this direction? Because it seems like this direction is not expanding, right? It's things are stuck. What do you think is the biggest obstacle with moving in this direction? There's got to be something. There maybe not one even then, right?
Yeah, I think it's stuck between two things. One of them is the bureaucracy of getting through school boards and getting school boards to approve this kind of stuff because it's a very slow process to get
Yeah,
things through that. And by the time you've gotten it through and approved, then the next thing is already out. So I think the first thing, the biggest hang up is just the bureaucracy of getting the approval in the first place. And then the second thing is the fear of losing contact minutes. I mean, because we all know every public school is graded, contact minutes, how many minutes are the kids in school? What are they learning? What are they doing? And so the fear that some of those precious contact minutes are going to go to something that they're afraid isn't benefiting the kids in the long run.
yeah, and somehow it's like this roadblock, and nothing seems to be able to move it, right? Things get stuck for a long time. I agree. There's probably some other obstacles too, I would imagine. I
Yeah.
am in New York State. I mean, we are, so to speak, being ruled by the New York State Education Department, and it's a huge bureaucratic,
Yep.
machine. And there is a lot of areas I see that they are supposedly, they meant to make education better, but it's not always going in the right directions because, again, because you don't see the change, right? There is different
Yeah.
standards and different things, but We've changed the standards for that would help in making learning a little bit more interesting because of knowledge building and all these ideas. But somehow it didn't change much the way kids are taught. So again, right, it's very interesting. It's probably a long conversation to talk about that. And of course, every state is a little bit different too. What would be your sort of ending message or question or anything else you would like to share with our listeners and viewers? Again, it can be a parent, it can be someone related to school, or anybody interested in just learning about education and what's going on.
Yeah. I think my biggest message, just in general, when I'm speaking, is always, always, always give them opportunity and ask them more questions. And my biggest challenge, and it's harder than it sounds, is when you see a kid, instead of asking them what they want to be when they grow up, ask them what they want to change in their communities right now, and then ask them what their idea is on how to do it. And if it is something feasible, then help them do it and help them develop those leadership skills now instead of daydreaming about the skills they can develop later.
This is really awesome and very timely, because when we think about AI and what's the future for children, what jobs are going to do, when we think about that, I think that, and it's there's a lot of uncertainty, and even to what extent colleges and degrees will be applicable, or even I don't know, needed. It's also a question. So this idea of entrepreneurship is really cool. And hey, there will be always entrepreneurship skills that are needed, and kids will need them. I think in literally any job, they can start their own businesses. They can learn how to solve problems and make money, right? Make a living off of it. I think this is something huge that we should be focusing on in school, right?
I mean, me too, but I'm a little bit biased.
But I'm not biased at all. So you see, I am saying yes to your ideas. You're saying you're biased, but I'm saying you're completely right.
Well, thank you.
So you're welcome. So your organization, your ideas, and now your collaboration with the school, which by the way is a huge step to do it with the school. It is really huge, because now you are not in the silo of organization, but you're actually working actively with a place where this will take place, not just as an after school or something else on the side, but actually in collaboration with the school. So this is really huge, and it's very timely. So I want to wish you a lot of luck with this, and let me know how it goes, and maybe another podcast episode in the future, right? Like after you already know.
I'll come back next fall and tell you how amazing the pilot group went.
Exactly. And it will be, if you could tell our audience too where they can follow you to see how it's all going, because now this is really exciting. It's entering another stage, another phase.
Yeah. So you can follow along on our blog on our website, which is socieict.org, or you can follow our Facebook page, which is just Society of Child Entrepreneurs. And those are the two places that I post the most frequently.
That's awesome. I would like to thank you for this wonderful conversation. Again, I think it's just so timely and it's so important to talk about it. Schools need some really real change that is relevant for kids, finally, I think. So I hope that this is going to grow for you, and not only for you, right? For children, for more collaborations between schools. That would be wonderful to see. And I wanted to ask our wonderful audience to check the episode once it's uploaded. Let us know what you think about these ideas, because it's important to have this dialogue, the conversation, to talk about this, and to also hear from you what you think. And follow the show, Get Inspired with Dr. Barb. Also, if you could review it, we would like it much, definitely. We would appreciate it. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, Leah, for this wonderful chat. And I'll see everybody on social media. Bye-bye for now.
Thank you for having me.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much. This is Get Inspired with Dr. Barb.